Welcome to Impact Martial Arts. In this video, we're going to talk about how we handle belt testing and promotions at our studio. So first off, who is eligible for promotion? A key point is that every student in our studio is evaluated for promotion individually. So we're not looking at evaluating students in groups or based on a certain date, but rather each individual's progress. So we do these evaluations on all the time, so they're ongoing in regular class. And then based on their class performance, their time spent at the rank, and their class attendance, they might be invited to a promotion ceremony or a test, depending on which program they're in. So I'll spell out the difference there in the next slide. So our Tiny Tigers and Little Dragons, that's our ages 4 to 7-year-old. These students do not go through a formal test. Instead, we evaluate these students for promotion in class completely. If they show readiness for promotion to their next rank, they will be invited to a promotion ceremony, which will come by email. And at that point, parents will be asked to pay the promotion fee, and they'll be given the date. They'll also be asked to register for the promotion. For our youth students and our adults, that's ages 8 and up, the students who show readiness will be invited to a test by email, and students will need to successfully test and meet all the other requirements in order to be promoted. So a key point here is that for our youth students 8 and up and our adult students, they are invited to a test. So an invitation to a test does not equal a promotion. They're being asked to test, and they will have to demonstrate and show proficiency in all these areas before they can be promoted. Okay, so our testing process for our ages 8 and up. Students who are invited to a test will have to meet requirements, including they have to pass a formal physical test on the date specified. We don't give special tests on special dates. They have to pass a written test of history, terminology, and other material before the physical test. They have to meet other physical requirements and attendance requirements. So this could be a push-up count or some other physical requirements, in addition to a minimum number of classes attended in between ranks. And then they have to register for the test online and also pay all the fees for testing by the deadline. To get ready for the test, a couple of things that we have out there for help. First of all, on our website, we have study guides. These are available to prepare for the written test for each rank. And a lot of times students will take the study guide and make flashcards out of the material from the study guide. It's a good idea to go on our website and download the study guide for each rank as soon as the student gets promoted and start working on that study guide immediately so they have plenty of time to prepare. It's also a good idea to fill out the study guide and check over it with the instructors. Instructors would always be happy to check over a student's study guide and make sure that everything on there is correct so that they can properly study for the test. The written test has to be passed in order for it to be eligible for promotion. So if a student does not pass the written test, they will be asked to test again in the next cycle. And then we also have curriculum guides on our website, which outline the physical and technical requirements. So these are things that would show up on the physical test. What techniques are they going to be asked to do? What forms, etc. Those are all on the curriculum guide. At the actual test, a belt test typically lasts 1 to 2 hours. It usually depends on rank. If somebody's testing for a very high rank, it might be longer. And it's going to require the student to demonstrate the material appropriate for the rank. So again, that's the things that are showing up on that curriculum guide. The test is always going to be very physical, so it's going to evaluate the student's physical conditioning as well. At the end of the test, students receive some feedback regarding their physical test. So the judges will talk about some things they saw, both positive and negative, during the test. An important note here is that the students are not promoted at the test. So the test night is not the same as the promotion date. So what happens after testing? Usually 1 to 2 days after the belt test, students will receive individual feedback from the test, along with results. So we usually send out an email and it has some notes about some things we saw that were great and some things that we saw that weren't so great and need some work. After the test, there's 3 possible outcomes. The first is a pass. So the student demonstrated proficiency in everything they needed to, and they're invited to be promoted in approximately 2 weeks. So usually we promote students 2 weeks after the test date. A second possible outcome is the student needs to remediate some areas. So this would be if a student did well in some areas, but not everything, we might ask them to remediate a few areas before being eligible for promotion. And then a third is a retest. So if the student was not able to show readiness at the test, they will be asked to test again in the next cycle. Retests do not require an additional payment, and the test cycles last approximately 6 weeks. So if a student is asked to retest, they'd be looking at testing again in about 6 weeks usually. Okay, so promotion. So all students who have been invited to promotion will have completed all necessary steps in advance. So that's all those things we talked about: the payment, the written test, the physical test, etc. The promotion date will be announced by email. And at the promotion, family members are encouraged to come take pictures and celebrate the accomplishment. We usually have several students being promoted at a given promotion ceremony. For the Tigers and Dragons, these students will be asked to perform a specific skill from their skill set at a promotion and break a board. So when they are asked to be promoted, on the night of the promotion, they usually get to demonstrate things in small groups and then break a board, which is always a fun event. A few additional notes. First of all, that the instructors alone determine the readiness for promotion. So it's not up to the parents or one of the other students. It's really up to the instructors to decide when the student is ready to be promoted. Each student is evaluated at his or her own pace. So, some students come to class more than others. Some students might pick up on some skills faster than others. We really strive to evaluate each student at their own pace. The one thing I can say that will help the most is regular class attendance. So if students are looking to make progress and want to move up, then the best way to do that is to show up for class on a regular schedule. That's going to be the number one thing they can do. Another note is that testing is never required. If a student is invited to test, that doesn't mean that they have to test. If they feel like they're still, very nervous about it and they're worried, they can always choose not to test and take it the next cycle or anything like that. We always encourage parents and students to look through the curriculum guides, the study guides, and the GUP manual for more details. If they're looking to see, what do I need to do to get ready, those are the places to look. We don't encourage students to frequently ask about testing or promotion. In other words, come up to the instructor at the end of class and say, well, when am I testing for my next belt? And the reason that we say that is because we want to keep in mind that the learning is the goal. The belt is not the goal. Anybody can go to a store and buy a green belt or, a black belt, whatever, for $6 at the supply house. It's not about the belt. It's about the learning. And we want the students to focus on the learning, not focus on the piece of cloth that they tie around their waist. That's not the most important thing. So hopefully this was informative for you. Thank you for watching, and if you have any other questions, feel free to email us or talk to an instructor.